Come on, let's have a dance. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have been so excited to join you today. I am going to show you in 40 minutes how to reach TOT for every one of you. Every one of you in this auditorium today has the ability to be TOT. Every one of you. All you need is application, a good mindset, and some ideas. All of those things will happen in the next 40 minutes. Success is not easy. Success is not easy, but success is simple. Success is simple. Many months ago, I had the privilege of speaking in South Africa. And I listened to a speaker, her name was Moira Summers, and she's a psychologist. And she spoke, and I don't know if you know this, I didn't know this, that if you meet a bear, a black bear, a brown bear, or a white bear, there are 3 different ways that you should deal with the bear. Did you know that? In order to save your own life, there are 3 different ways to deal with the bear, depending on which one you meet. The first way that you can save your life is to throw yourself on the ground, lie flat on your stomach, and stay as still as possible. Okay? The second way, depending on which bear you meet, is to scream and shout. And the third way to save your own life when confronted by a bear is to talk very firmly to the bear. Did you know that? I didn't know that. But I was thinking about Moira Summers' presentation, and here's what I thought. Isn't that what life insurance agents are like? They are one of these 3 people. They either throw themselves flat on the floor, stay still, and wait for the problem to pass, don't they? Or they scream and shout. These are people that I call members of the discouragement club. These are the people, and you know who I'm talking about. You find them in your office, don't you? There they are in the corner of the room, drinking a coffee, reading the paper, and they are complaining about everything that is going wrong in the world at the moment. All the reasons why they would have been TOT if they'd had a better manager. They would have been COT if the economy had been better. If they'd worked for a different insurance company, if some more of their clients had said yes to them. These are members of the discouragement club, and their job is to scream and shout. Because you know what? It's easier to make an excuse than to take action, isn't it? The hardest way to be successful in this business is to talk firmly to your clients. And I'm going to show you how you can transform your business by approaching your business in a slightly different way. But before we get there, you need to appreciate and understand how important this word is. The reason why the word belief is so powerful is because, interestingly, it holds a 3-letter word right in the middle of that very important word, and I've highlighted it for you in red so you can see what the problem is. Now, you will all be familiar with this. Wherever you go, every time you go to pick up the telephone, every time you engage with a client, every time you're confronted with a problem, the little voice on your shoulder, and you know what I'm talking about, gives you all the reasons why you can't do something. I asked you earlier, who here is TOT? The ones who stood, congratulations, you are currently members of TOT. But that was not my question. My question was, who here is TOT? Every single person here today is TOT if you are TOT in your mind. If you do not think like TOT, I guarantee one thing, you will not achieve TOT. So the first thing you have to do is to create a positive belief system. This is not, by the way, positive mental attitude. I have read lots of books by Tony Robbins, but by lunchtime, Life got in the way, nothing has changed. Belief system is creating something in your mind that stays with you forever, like walking, talking, breathing, riding a bicycle. And that's what I want to share with you today. Here's something else I'd like you to write down. There's two words, two very important words. The first word is discipline, and the second word is regret. Here is my question. Discipline or regret, which of these two words is painful? Which of these two words is painful? Because the answer is both of them are painful. But here's my second guarantee of the day. If you don't do the first one, folks, I guarantee you will get the second one. I asked you if you were TOT, and the reason why you need to think TOT is because people fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss. People fail in life because they aim too low and hit. Many, many years ago, when I started in this business, a very long time ago, in fact. Can we go back one? Yep. When I started in this business in 1989, I had a wonderful mum and a wonderful dad. This is my mum and dad. It was a photograph that was taken in 1968. And actually, my mother, Carol, was pregnant with her first child, which happened to be me. I really am 51 years old. And in 1968, I came into the world, quickly followed by 4 other siblings. My father was a very, very successful restaurateur. We lived in a big house. We had plenty of money. But one thing that was very interesting during my father's career as he grew his business was that people used to pass Leo in the streets, and life insurance agents, for example, would think to themselves, little voice on the shoulder, Leo Forte is very successful. He doesn't need life insurance. He doesn't need investment advice. He probably has too much money. He's surrounded by plenty of other professional people. Why should I have a conversation with Leo Forte? In 1978, when I was just 7 years old, the eldest of 5 children, my dad Leo was diagnosed with lung cancer. Unfortunately, it was terminal. He fought a very, very long, terrible battle against a dreadful, dreadful disease, but he passed away 2 years later. At the age of 9, my mother informed me I was the man of the house. And it was a legacy that was not the kindest, actually. I worked in my father's business for as long as we could keep it going, but within just 2 years of my father's death, my mother was declared bankrupt. The house was gone, the business was gone. She was a 29-year-old widow with 5 children, no work experience. Everything had gone. That's how quickly the riches became rags. For the simple reason that many professional people in my hometown, many of whom were life insurance agents, they had that paradigm, that belief system that had no basis for reality. Fortunately, they say in life, when one door closes, another one opens. And 4 years later, when I was 13, my mum met this wonderful man. His name is Dave, and Dave was to become my best friend. He was my educator. He played sport with me. He got me involved in drama, which might explain why I'm on the stage now. Everything we did together. We were so close. And he gave up his full-time job to become part-time to help look after a growing family. During the time I was growing up as a teenager, I always used to promise myself, as the man of the house, that if and when I had the ability, when I was a little older, I would make sure that my mother was financially secure. That was a promise I made to myself every day in the years I was growing up. I can't pretend, I cannot stand here today and tell you that I wanted to go into the life insurance business. I didn't. I left university, I was academic, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. A friend of the family asked me if I would like a job working part-time in his brokerage business, and in an attempt to pay off my student overdraft, I agreed. I worked for 6 months as an administrator, and after about 6 months, Tony, my boss, said, "Why don't you try selling? I'll give you some of my clients and you can go and service them." For 18 months, for a total of about 2 years in this business, between 1989 and 1991, I am somewhat ashamed to tell you that I was a failure in this business. But I was a failure for one reason and one reason only. I made excuses. I lay flat on the ground waiting for the problem to pass me by. Or sometimes I would scream and shout. I would never deal with the problem. My prospect list remained my prospect list because I thought, well, if I've got names on a piece of paper, there's always prospects. If I call one and they say no, one less prospect. How many of you have ever found yourself in that situation? I won't make the call just in case they say no. And here's one thing I learned very early in my career. Focus on the process, not on the outcome. One of the hardest things for us in this business is rejection. But if you don't focus on that, if you focus on the steps that you need to take in order to get to a place where you can be rejected or not, that's the way to approach this business. But it took me 2 years to learn that lesson. Every day I made a promise. And so when I came into this profession, for 2 years, I promised myself that Dave and my mum would be my first clients. I'd been working on Tony's clients. I didn't have any of my own. My prospect list was maybe 12 or 13 people. And it was a challenge. But I kept making the promise every single day. And I made it every day for 2 long years. In December 1991, I cannot tell you why I suddenly decided to have a conversation with Dave and my mother, Carol. Maybe I just got fed up of making excuses to myself. And I don't even remember what I said. Something like, it would be wrong of me not to at least speak to you about insurance because I know you need it. Focus on the process, not on the outcome. And to my surprise, Dave said, actually, we've been speaking about this. I would really be concerned if anything happened to me, especially because he was the breadwinner. If anything happened to me, I do not want your mother and all of you children to be back in the same place that you were in all those years ago. And Dave became my very first client in this business after 2 years in the business. That's how long it took me. And I remain prouder of that sale than any other one I have made since. Only because it was the moment I discovered who I was and what steps I needed to take to be successful in this business. But it took me 2 years.